Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lunazi, host of the Leaders What podcast. Today, I have part two of a beautiful conversation I started, I think last week or the week before, with all my good friends that actually met in person when I was living in China and Hong Kong. Mike Michelini. Mike Michelini is the go-to guy when it comes to anything sourcing in China, anything doing business in China. And he's a big-time podcaster, inspirational guy, and also he hosts some of the biggest events for cross-border, and is actually going to have one soon in the next, when is it? November, what's the date again?
Yeah, 15th, we have a little expo, and then 16th, 17th is the conference.
There you go. So we're going to talk about that. This time it's not going to be in Hong Kong and Shenzhen like it used to be. It's going to be in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So it's going to be fun. A new experience for the new world post-pandemic. So it's going to be exciting. And anyways, I'm excited to have him back because last time we talked about his path, his background, quite a good one, very colorful. Especially love the section about what he talked about, what it's like working on Wall Street, on the streets, not in the streets. But it was pretty much same as you say, same. It was fun, some cool stories, and we're gonna continue where we left off. So first of all, Mike, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me, Payman.
Pleasure's all mine. First of all, tell us, how are you doing today?
It's great. It's Friday. We're doing this Friday afternoon. Halloween just passed. My son just did his first trick-or-treating experience.
Oh, nice.
Which was he thanked me for it after, which was awesome. I think I don't know how it came up, but I was a little bit tired, to be honest, and he was kind of maybe he was talking about the candy or something. I said, Miles, we did this for you, for your memory. I hope you remember this. And he says, oh, thank you, Daddy. Something like that.
Yeah, it's fun. Awesome. Yeah, I'm surprised that do people so when you were knocking on the doors, did the Thai people react well? Say, what are you doing here? Go back.
Well, it was the first time we ever did, because there's a specific neighborhood. I forgot the name of it, but my friend lives in that garden or complex or villa, whatever. Only that one does it.
Because they're maybe familiar
it's
with
more expat or international, or it's become some kind of tradition. I don't know, maybe somehow it started there and it's grown and now it's become known, and it's pretty full just in this one area.
I saw a meme on YouTube the other day about Halloween. There's this family, they just left a bucket with a note saying, please help yourself, and the bucket is empty. Did you see anything like this?
There was one that was spraying the silly string at you, like trick, but they were actually some were really well prepared. They had you would go into their house and they had like skeletons and cobwebs, and the woman was dressed as a witch, and she's talking and you have to answer her questions, and she's got different. I was really amazed.
Nice. I'm sure the kids would have loved it. So that's what matters at the end of the day. All right, Mac, let's tell us. Last time we left off about your business. So tell us, first of all, what you're doing, what's your business, and and all that good stuff.
Sure. I think you know me by now. I do lots of stuff, but I'm starting to call it an e-commerce venture studio, or basically we own and operate a few different e-commerce related businesses, product businesses, as well as services, and mostly on Amazon. And we started all of these during COVID. Actually, most of the brands, we joined as a partner later, that was existing already, but all of them started during COVID to do what I love to do, is creating. And on top of that, we also service a few select e-commerce or related businesses with our team. So we have a pretty wide team now, about 15 people, mostly in the Philippines, working online. That's started to learn also during COVID a lot. We had an HR consultant coach, and we built like teams and like middle level management, which is all online, which is, I feel like, harder than in person. But basically, yeah, I mean, e-commerce brands, e-commerce services for other e-commerce companies. Also, as you know, we're talking about the summit, the events, the community for e-commerce people. And there's a little bit of a newer idea that I'm always wondering if I should bring up not, but we can get into it, like e-commerce and a blockchain. So we're working on a new
Oh,
blockchain protocol so that people can, instead of selling on Amazon, they sell on the blockchain. And then the product is listed on the chain, and then the buyer buys it from them off a chain through multiple, maybe even more clients, multiple marketplaces.
no, wow, interesting. What kind of services do you offer to your companies, to these e-commerce brands?
So, I'd say content creation. We
Mm,
don't do the photo or the video, like we don't do shoots or something. You have to give us the raw or images. But from there we can create everything and do everything. So we create, if it's an Amazon listing, we can do that, or we can do it on a website. But more what we've noticed, we only have like 3 or 4 clients, honestly, but mostly we help them with their web and their social content. We're like a content creating team. It's the parent company is Shadstone, kind of behind me, the logo
yes,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of like our service consulting team that does that.
Mhm.
And web basically is heavy more on web than Amazon. So like web-based content, but it also, of course, can improve Amazon. We did even help a Lazada seller recently. It's not really about the marketplace, it's more about the content that's on their listing to help them get more conversions and sales and traffic.
So I know you noticed that back in around 2018, 19, there was a surge into pretty much all the sellers that used to live in China, people working in China, especially the expats, they got into the aggregators selling brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a mad rush. You got into that. Uh,
Yeah, I got into that right. I feel like towards the beginning. Yeah, it kind of started in 2019. It got really crazy into COVID.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the trend now? Is it back to, so how is e-commerce, especially Amazon, doing nowadays? Is it still a viable business, or is it now no longer the days for the new guy to come, and it's more like for very established, sophisticated sellers with teams with pretty much big pockets, endless resources? Like we've seen some, in Shenzhen in China, the entire operations, like 20-story floor. On each floor, you have 200 agents, each agent running like 300 SKUs, and they just call the neighbor, the cousin was a factory owner. Okay, send me 20,000. I'll pay you in a month. We can compete with that.
Yeah, I know. It is somewhat, I don't want to discourage people listening, but yeah, I mean, I think there was a chat recently with some other more established sellers, and some newer seller was asking similar, and I contributed, and I said, of course, I like to say it's possible, but yeah, I mean, I think it's harder, of course, now. One other seller said it better, and he says, it's not about how much time you put into it. It's more about, the strategies and are like effective with how you do it. So you don't have to be like an experienced old seller, but if you can be a new seller, but if you know the game and play the game,
Mm,
you can still win. So it's like more like you have to have these skills, and new sellers can learn these skills. Of course, obviously there's advantages. Those have been just like any industry, career, business, personal, or whatever. The more you do something, and the more you better you know it. But yeah, it's not like the good old days of like 2016, 20 even earlier was where you can kind of almost put up anything and it would sell. So it's definitely getting more challenging, but I hope to change that, with maybe this Web3 stuff or other platforms. But even it does seem like you have to have more and more of an operation. But then again, AI is making it easier, right? AI makes it easier. I was just on a call a couple hours ago with a friend that has something you can take a normal picture of a product, right? Like a shirt. He showed me like a flat shirt, like without a person,
mhm.
and it actually can put it on an AI model. And it doesn't look like, it's not just like a sticky one, like those toys where you put the cardboard clips. It actually like wraps around them. It shows the folds, and it shows the three, it looks like a real model wearing that real clothing. So that's making it more accessible, because you don't need to have a photo studio and models and photographers. but it also means, anybody can do that now, right? So it's just a weird kind of thought, but then it drops the barrier because anybody with I don't know what the right word is, passion, drive, or just determination to keep pushing that content out, because he's basically saying you can use this and then not just put it on your listing, put this on socials. You can just make unlimited amount of content from this AI generator.
One question I want to ask you now, of course, that's a very, ongoing question that changes all the time. So remember back in 2015, 16, there were people saying, oh, you can launch a product with $500, $1,000, and it came to 5,000, 10,000. So as of today, November 3rd of 2023, what's the minimum budget required to launch a successful a successful product on Amazon?
I hate that it depends, but yeah, I would still say around 10K. You just got to it depends on your price point of your product, but I still do think a price, especially if you're a new seller, it shouldn't be an expensive product anyway, in my opinion, because it's more challenging. So, if you're doing like a $10, $20 product, 10K with inventory, just try to get as little inventory as possible, in my opinion, to start, and then get the experience launching it with PPC and other launch strategies. Again, I always say it, and I can't say I always practice it myself, but you've been involved with that, building up a list before, right? Building up an audience before. So if you have some kind of audience or traffic source before you launch your product, in here, there's so many nomads in Chiang Mai. A lot of them are affiliate marketers, right? They're really good at traffic generation. If they were to apply that to launch on Amazon or launch a physical product, they have a huge advantage because they can use their list. Hopefully they're building up emails or, communities or groups or pixels or whatever. That's a huge advantage to launching, right? So if you have that when you launch, or, like Kickstarter or crowdfunding first, then to Amazon. Our friend Don Wilder speaks about that. And I haven't done it for my own brand, but I've been involved with some, and I've seen some campaigns like that. That's another way. It's a bit of work, but that'll give you an advantage. And then you don't have to buy it until it sells, although you got to do a lot of work in the marketing and the prototyping up front. But yeah, those are some different strategies.
Two questions come to mind. One question, I'm going to leave it for another moment, but is China still a viable option for someone that's starting to or planning to launch a product, a business for the long run, to source from China? Because, we both, we heard horror stories, especially during the pandemic, that factories would take your money and disappear. And, what's the deal nowadays in China? Is it still a viable option?
I just want to say I haven't heard the story of them just disappearing during COVID. Maybe it happened, but I don't remember that myself. But yeah, I'm sure that could have potentially happened. Hopefully if they were a legitimate factory. But yeah, of course, I guess there was cases that I could see happening where they go bankrupt or other issues. But China's Canton Fair is kind of just wrapping up right now. Our friends just had those meetups. Chris, FBA for you just did a second one a couple days ago, and they're saying more came this time than last. More international sellers came. So China did just finally reopen the border in around February 2023 earlier this year. But I was literally just on a webinar with Megla this morning from India.
I was about to mention that. Yes.
Yeah, I was just on her webinar like 6 hours ago, and of course I'm talking about Thailand. Her and her team talking about India. So it does make sense now more than ever if you're just starting to consider another market. If you're starting from scratch, in my opinion. Of course, the tricky part is it depends on what product, and I don't know if you'd agree, but of course there is issues in China, but China's still generally easier. Yeah, I don't know if you'd agree. Maybe
infrastructures, yes, they have infrastructure.
They have everything in place,
yeah.
And they know how to do it. They know how to prep for FBA. They know how to package the right carton sizes. Like I made mistakes here where they didn't know that they couldn't have oversized cartons. So then I'm like, oh, my mistake. I didn't tell you the carton should be, no bigger. We don't want oversized. So, there's like all these hiccups because they're kind of learning here. So I think it depends on the product and how much patience. Of course, you can also get lower MOQs still in China generally than in other markets. So it's a tricky answer. It depends what kind of product, but you could also make it part of your brand. You can make it
Mhm.
part of your brand. I mean, I have a friend who just emailed me recently doing Mexico clothing into the US, and he basically says we buy this from Mexico and sell it in the US, right? So it can also be part of your story, your brand, where you're buying it from.
Absolutely.
So
So,
we're kind of on the fence, I think it's still on the fence, but of course the trend is going outside of China generally.
so you've been living in Thailand for the last, what, 2, 3 years now?
It's been a bit over almost a
Okay.
year and a half. And then I did a year and a half before COVID.
And you've been sourcing from Thailand and for how long now? 2, 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, during COVID it started. I was planning for it before COVID, but then I got into China. But yeah, so it's about three years now.
So in what way sourcing from Thailand would make more sense than say from China?
It really depends on the product category or product type. Like China, of course, is much better at injection mold plastics in general.
Mm,
Of course, there's exceptions. And electronics, right? I don't know anybody making electronics in Thailand, maybe in Vietnam, but you're kind of, or but if you've, like here's like a lot of handmade products, a lot of, natural products.
yes.
So if you're able to use those kind of products in your business, that would be a good advantage. And then
Yeah.
you can also, that's also sometimes more attractive to the buyer as well.
You mentioned Megla. So back 3 years ago, I got involved with another friend of mine. I don't know if you know him, Riley Bennett. He's a 7-figure seller.
Yeah.
He's an agency. He's a good buddy of mine. You
Yeah,
know,
he's coming to the summit. He'll be
oh
here in a
really?
couple weeks.
Okay, cool. We did an academy. The 90 FBA was my inspiration. We did that, and what we did, we invited Megla because we're looking to offer other options to people other than China. And one thing that I learned through Megla is that in India, the products you use natural materials. It's handmade, much easier to build actual branding. But because of that, the MOQ sometimes can be lower but higher, but also the cost would be higher because they're handmade, they're higher quality natural. But if you're looking to build like a more premium product, then India would be, especially depending on the type of product, especially anything to do with leather, with wood, then India would be better. I tried to do a Kickstarter back then in 2020, and I couldn't. She was gracious. She connected me to quite a few suppliers, but again, what you mentioned, the lack of infrastructure in India compared to China, and the attitude, they were more like, no problem, no rush. Wow, sorry. Yeah, so India. India is an interesting option as well. I even looked when I was trying to do my Kickstarter. I even looked into Mexico. I found a very unique materials in Mexico, but again, in Mexico they have this attitude of mañana, tomorrow, no rush. That sometime in China they go straight to business. They really know what to do. Just like you said, yes, China is so much more advanced in certain aspects that they know what to do. And other places, I even looked into Italy. I looked into Portugal, but the costs were way so high in those countries that it said, you know what? Maybe at the end, probably China is the best option, despite some of the not so good aspects. But
Yeah, it is. It is the reality, whether people like it or not, it's kind of the reality. What I say is, there's Chinatowns all around the world, right? And those are like the hardest working people, at least I would
yes,
say, right? They're up at like 5 in the morning taking fish off a truck, and they're working until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Their family, all their families working, the kids, the grandparents, like the aunts, everybody's like cutting vegetables and cleaning the floor. They're hard and work people, Of course, the political stuff aside, the people generally have a hard work ethic,
absolutely.
you know.
We've both walked through quite a few floors of factories in China. We see how
Yeah.
dedicated, committed they are. So no, for that, absolutely yes. I Do you think China is now opening up? Because I have some friends in China that I talk to them. They say they're trying to make things difficult when it comes to bringing money, taking money out, doing business in China, opening bank account, getting SIM cards for foreigners. Do you think that's going now towards the right direction, trying to make things easier to facilitate business with the external world, or that's still
I
taking it
don't
slowly?
feel I don't, there was also, I try not to get too political, but there was
Yeah.
recently some deaths with some higher level political officials recently
Yes.
in the last, I don't read the news, but of course
Yeah.
that's suspicious to me or weird to me. From
Mm,
what I understand, their political agenda was to make it more open
mm.
and, so while I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like they're not really, at least the current leaders are not trying to make it more open. And I think most Chinese people, whether they want to say it or not, would agree with that, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, um, tell us about your event in 2 weeks' time.
Sure. Yeah. So it's the Cross Border Summit. It's our fifth one, but first in 4 years. It'll be big. I think it's true for the e-commerce space. It's a whole new world. Like you said, you asked about. We didn't really talk about the aggregator earlier, maybe,
Mm,
but yeah, I mean the space has just changed. Some sellers were bought out and cashed out and left, and some aggregators are going bust now. The
really? Wow.
yeah, I rumor is Thrashio is on a brink of restructuring.
Wow.
So yeah, the event is about new open borders, new beginnings. We waited to do it until China was reopened because we do have some great Chinese speakers and Chinese attendees coming in for it, and we welcome that. We really try hard to bring local Thai and there's some from Singapore. Megala's coming from India,
Oh,
some
wow.
people from Japan, Nick Katz, and so it's really like we're trying to bring everyone together. It's only like a bit over 100 people. I wanted to try to go bigger, but it's been so long since we've done it, and we kind of just setting a foundation now, trying to give the maximum value. People love it, and I know you've been to quite a few. It's about high value networking, high value connections in a 100+ person event to get the most of your time there, and of course, learning 2 full days of speakers. I was just going through one of the sessions. Kan Chan will be speaking coming from Guangzhou. He's a Chinese seller, works with a lot of Chinese sellers, does training for them. It's about like what do Chinese sellers do? A lot got shut down in 2021, but a lot came back and they're actually white hat. He says they're not as many black hat because they're scared to get banned on Amazon now because some big ones were banned. So they're doing it in a more right way, but they're like we're talking about Chinatown. They're doing it really hard, really hard and systematically. So that's like a session. We have people, a lot of great people with that, after parties. We're going to do an expo this time with like 10 to 15 product booths and some other services and some, and we have like some workshops, and we're going to do factory tours and,
Oh,
a little product market. There's like some mini like Huachanbei kind of thing, Iwu market kind
oh,
of
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing that big, but big
Correct.
enough for people to spend like half a day there and get some value in products. So it's gonna be actually like 5 or 6 days total, but the main core event is 2 days, 16, 17.
Yeah, I remember those was fun days in Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Yeah, wow. I'm glad to see that Megla is coming back because I follow her on Facebook. She just had a very successful once again trip to India.
Yeah, it's
Maybe you
hosting
should go to
trip.
one of those. You
I
should
said it on the webinar. I think it's true. It's just my wife is traveling this week, and it's
yeah.
right before Chinese New Year in February. I think I wrote it down.
Ah,
February 4th to the 10th.
okay.
So I'm uh I'm working on locking that in.
Yeah,
Um
that would be fun. Yeah. She even invited me to say come, but I stepped away from e-commerce for now. But who knows? There's always this itch to get back in the game. Once in the game, you get a taste of it, and now you see the world opening up again. Taking the knowledge, the connection you have, and apply it to a premium
yeah, I
brand.
mean,
Yeah,
connected to your podcast here and
yeah,
kind of make kind of cross pollinate different service and business product together, right? Build out and so it's not totally unrelated to what you're already building now,
maybe some
but
podcasting gears, some gears for books, something like this. I don't know.
true.
You know,
Yeah, we could brainstorm on it together.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm open because, the itch is still here, and I have a lot
Yeah,
of good
once,
friends.
yeah, like making me think of the mafia or something. You can't get out, once you get
No,
in.
exactly. Wow. Cool. What else are you working on?
So yeah, the last one, which is a bit bigger and it's hard to, it's not like it's a secret, but it's just so early and innovative. But we're building a blockchain for e-commerce.
Wow.
So it's called load pipe. I think we've maybe heard that keyword. We had that for a few previous uses, but still a general idea of supply chain on a blockchain, but starting within e-commerce. And the idea is it's not yet ready. There's nothing to show, unfortunately. We're trying to get something ready and a little kind of gift for those that make it to the summit in a couple weeks. But the idea is when you list a product, you don't put it inside of a central database like Amazon or even, like, because right now the big core difference of Web 2 and Web 3 that I think a lot of people don't understand is Web 2 is you sign up for Facebook or Amazon, you put your email address and a password and you check a box. And it's like, you don't read that box, right? But that box basically means they can delete anything and censor you and delete your stuff and maybe even change your stuff. I don't even know what it says, right? But basically it means you own nothing. They own everything. They can sell ads on your stuff. They can do anything they want. But Web3, the core difference, you log in with your wallet, which is your like identity. That's your like seed phrase and your crypto and your money. So maybe some people are familiar with NFTs. I know some people got a bad taste in their mouth from the NFT bubble, but it's not dead. I definitely don't believe it dead. Of course, there was a huge bear market. But basically, the idea is you own the assets in your wallet and you have your money and you have your assets in your own wallet. And then you list them on a marketplace, but they're still your identity and your content or assets in your wallet. It's yours. So even if the platform deletes you on Web3, your identity and your content is still in your wallet. I don't know if you understand that difference. Do you want to
Yes, yes,
expand on that?
yes.
Is that clear?
Yes, I get it. Yeah, yeah.
So we're building that. Basically, we're building it where you put the product in the blockchain and all the product data is on chain. You list it onto say something like like Amazon or like a marketplace that's Web3, but it's in the listing is in your wallet, and you're saying I have 50 of these. This is the picture, this is the description. People pay you, you get crypto, you ship it, there's some escrow, right? And it's all on the chain, And then
Yeah.
if this marketplace doesn't like what you're selling and they want to delete you, they can, but they can't take your name and your content. Like it's yours. So that's the core difference. The censorship is on the marketplace level, not on the protocol level. It's separating the data from the marketplace.
Mm,
Whereas right now we all just accept, we sign up for Instagram, Facebook, Amazon. We just accept that that's not ours. We just accept that I get banned, they take my money, they take my product, they take my listing, my photo, they take it and it's theirs. Or that's what I checked off. But with Web3, they can still ban you on the marketplace, but you would still have your stuff in your wallet.
big
So that's what
difference.
we're building.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
difference.
so it's a huge difference. And I speak, our friend, I think you met Danny McMillan, he's like a top podcaster and influencer about Amazon in the UK. And I said, hey Danny, what do you think? He's like, mate, he's British. He's like, mate, I don't know anything. I have, maybe he says, I don't want to put totally words in his mouth, but he's like, maybe I've used Coinbase or Binance, or maybe he says that, or others I talk to, basically just generally, I don't want to say a specific person in the community, but the community's not into it. Like, I don't even know what MetaMask is, they'll say. I don't even know if maybe you know MetaMask, but they don't know MetaMask, which I think anybody that's done anything with the NFT would learn MetaMask. Sorry, they're cutting trees next to me. I hope is it making noise?
No, it's okay. No.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, we're working hard on this. And I don't know if you met Nick. He's been in the community a while. He's from India in Shenzhen, but he's one of our lead developers and partners. We had a call last night. We're hoping to get this prototype ready for the summit. And you kind of connect that to the theme of open borders, new beginnings. Like this is a new beginning as well.
So you're gonna launch this for the summit?
We're gonna have some launch is a big word, you know, but we're
A better
hoping to have
version?
somewhat of an alpha or a
Yeah.
beta or like a limited access edition for attendees. You know, I don't know how much I want to spill the beans as well publicly, but the idea is maybe people will be able to be our first seller on the marketplace, because it's not like anybody can be a seller at the beginning. So might be some benefits like that. We're thinking of the benefit and what we can. Actually, it's going to be a long weekend. I'm gonna have a weekend with developers. Lorenza, I've been so happy lately. I'm getting really good luck having technical co-founders joining this project. Usually
Amazing.
I don't know about you, but usually at least and I think many others struggle to kind of attract and technical people to join us, like not just like a salary or a consultant, but as a partner. And so I feel like that alone is like a win,
Big, yeah.
because we have 3 really talented developers. I mentioned Nick, there's also John and Bo, and they're building and they're loving it. And we won a hackathon. We went to the Ethereum Foundation hackathon. We didn't win like top prize, but we won a partner prize. We won 2 partner prizes,
Nice.
and a little bit of cash too. You know, and just like around a bit over a K US. And but still, it was not about the money, it was about the validation.
Sure.
So I think people get it and they say it's a huge thing, right? And so many people are scared to, you know, compete with Amazon, because I guess we're going to compete with Amazon. And I'm actually a little bit nervous, Lorenzo, because my friend, I feel like they're my friends. I have friends at Amazon are coming to the summit, they're speaking, but it's not really competing. They could actually use this protocol. They can use this. I don't think they would, but they could, right? They could put their data on the blockchain. So I welcome Amazon. You know, maybe
Sure.
some people think that's counterintuitive, but I welcome them to use this ecosystem.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe later it can can sell it or license it to them, you know? That's ultimate dream.
Maybe.
You get a nice 8, 9, 10 figure exit, you set, you know?
Well, it's a bit of a different model. I don't know if I can sell it, because I'm really trying to make it like, you know, like Bitcoin or even Ethereum that's decentralized. I don't own it. Of course, I'll have some of it. But I don't, even on a call last night, we had a 10-person team call, and one of them says, "Oh, Mike, your project." I was like, "No, this is not mine. This is ours, and it's everybody's."
Absolutely.
So,
You know,
yeah.
one question that I've been, wondering about, and, everybody's talking about Amazon. Amazon sure cannot be ignored. It's the big elephant, mammoth, you want to call it, whatever. But then I've been seeing also people talking and successfully building business and selling on Walmart. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Walmart's not, there's some other newer ones that maybe you don't even know, like Temu, T-E-M-U.
Yeah.
This one's been really picking up. It's like, that one's actually, again, I'm kind of spilling the beans of some of our speakers' content because I'm looking at their presentations, but, this one has overcome Walmart's traffic in US
Temu.
recently,
Wow. Okay.
TEMU.com. And it's actually, Temu, T-E-M-U.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable deals. I don't really even know how. They sell like shoes for $2 free shipping.
Is it like wish.com?
It's like that, but even crazier.
Really?
And it's faster shipping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotta check it out.
So that one, and then TikTok, TikTok starting to add more e-commerce features and marketplaces and services. And that one's, so I think Amazon's under threat by those more than Walmart. But of course, I actually got a Walmart account. I didn't really notice that much. And I think mostly the consensus of most of our community is it's not that much of a sales channel. Depends on, I guess, if you've got such a hot category, but it's not getting like all those kind of like niches. Like Amazon's so big, right? You can have a small niche, but if you have that small niche on Amazon, on Walmart, you might not get much or anything.
Yeah. What about, for people like me and you who've been based in Asia for the last few years, what about the local platform like Shopee and Lazada? Are they viable platforms?
I mean, I'm tempted to try, and I can't say I have so much experience, but I even talked to my Filipino and Thai team, and they even tell me not to. But they also said that about China when I was in China into earlier on. But of course, the discretionary income is not as high here as
Sure.
in the West. So your
Mhm.
pricing, you're gonna have to accept that your pricing is just gonna be lower. Maybe you're gonna get higher turnover, or the dream, and I can't say I've done it yet, but the dream is sell in Amazon and on Lazada or in
Sure.
Southeast Asia, the same product, right?
Mhm.
Because then if you get, because I think it's true whether even though the aggregator model didn't really work, it still makes sense. If you have higher volume, if you have volume, you can reduce your price and reduce your costs, right? So if you can get more turnover, but I don't really have much experience about local Southeast Asia markets. If I've heard some speakers in our events, and but I'm tempted to do it, but it's just you got to drop your pricing quite a bit in my experience. And the other trick is it's not as strict as China, but in China to sell, you have to have a bigger brand, or you have to be super cheap. Like small to medium-sized brands usually don't succeed because Chinese either want the cheapest or the most expensive. I don't know if you'd agree, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
I feel like that's somewhat true in Southeast Asia, or it just shows you the power of a valuable brand. Because even in
Makes
Southeast
sense.
Asia, there's super rich or higher income Southeast Asia consumers, and they'll spend high dollars on name brand, right? Just like I guess anywhere there's that group of the upper class that are willing to pay that. But if you're like a no name or little guy, then probably you're going to go on the lower end of your pricing unless there's some way you can get through. And it's really frustrating with this influencer model, right? The influencer model, and they're the gatekeepers now, and they charge you got to pay them to kind of get in front of their audiences. Same in Japan. I was in Japan. I think I'm Sue Gary, and Seven Figure Seller Summit has his event in Japan. And there was also, you have to get through these gatekeepers of influencers there too.
Hmm. Speaking of China, are you selling on Taobao, JD, and all those platforms?
Again, I'm mostly in the West, mostly in the
Mm.
US. I way back, I did Taobao, and my Chinese team, and this is like 2008, 9, they thought I was crazy. And I kind of accepted their terms because you need to have live chats. Your prices to be rock bottom. Back then there wasn't Alipay as well adopted.
Mhm.
So they were coming to my office to buy like I always do those bar products, to buy a bottle opener. They came to my office to buy a $3 bottle opener. They would look at it, check it right, and then give you
Wow.
cash. And that was 2008. I remember that. Yeah, it was really crazy. So especially now, I don't live there.
Mhm.
Even my wife is Chinese. There is always the fear. Of course, the fear is also on Amazon, but the fear is getting locked out of your account, right? Especially if you're not there.
In
The
China,
fear of
yeah.
locked out. Yeah, like it's likely it can happen in any market, any
Sure.
web. That's why I'm working hard on this Web3 stuff. But in Web2, you're just renting an account, right? It's not your. But especially in China, one wrong move, you don't maybe even know what happened. Your account's locked, your money's locked or whatever. And then they're like, oh yeah, just come to the local branch, come to your local branch of of your bank. So it's a little scary.
One major worry of sellers on Amazon, especially the last few years, was your biggest competition is going to come from your factory because they have all the data, they have all the information. Do you think that's how much of a concern is that, say, in Thailand? Can you really trust your factory, or really have to vet them first before you have to try a few before you can find one they can trust in terms of terms, quality, and also trust?
So what I've learned, whether it's China or Thailand or maybe anywhere,
Mm,
a lot of the factories just prefer B2B, even though they might accept it's not as strong of a business model. It's a
mm,
lower risk model because you get your money up front. And some in China more than Thailand have gone back to being just factories
mm,
because they don't like that risk, and it's a different kind of mindset and work ethic and skill to be a seller than a factory.
sure.
So I've actually seen them reverse that.
Mm.
In Thailand, one thing we're learning is, especially as we do this cross-border matchmaker expo, we're inviting factories to come. There's a handful that are both sellers and factories. They maybe are actually a lot are Westerners, especially Thailand's like a lifestyle place. And also for your visa in Thailand, it's much easier to just open a company, right? So what I've noticed, and actually one of our speakers, Antoinette Jackson, she's an Australian woman here, really awesome. She's going to be one of our speakers sharing her case study of her brand, Super Bee. Well, her story is she set up a factory and she's just actually a couple others also. They sell in local markets, like at the night markets, the products, and then they find some traction, and then they go online, and then they go international. And even her as Australian, she was selling like products in like markets, physical like
Wait,
like
so
street markets,
she was
and it
finding
expanded
the
and it got viral.
so so she found the
She,
products in the night markets and she tested and then
no, she had a booth at the night market.
Oh, okay, wow. Oh, that's
She
interesting.
likes sustainable products. She's really into sustainability, eco, and so her brand Superbee, you can check it out, superbee.me, is about sustainable products for she uses a lot of beeswax, bees products. So like one of her products is this like wrapping paper to preserve your food in the refrigerator. Instead of using the plastic wrap or the aluminum foil, you use her beeswax based wrap that's reusable, washable. It's one of her flagship products, but she's also got a few others that are all about sustainability and not like, hurting the earth, not just at the creation, but at the garbage side, right? Not just on how it's made, but it's how it's disposed, how it like composes in the dump, right? You throw it in the garbage, what happens? Right? Even though it's made well, if it lasts in a dump for 100 years, it's not as good as something that kind of like composes in like, I'm using arbitrary numbers, but like a couple of years, 5 years, so she's doing it for both creation and in reusing, and like, so she has a factory, a company, and she sells on Amazon, and she sells on her, like, I think it's Shopify or WooCommerce. So she's selling in Europe, US. It kind of fits the name, our community is global from Asia, right? So she kind of created this empire from Asia. But what I'm noticing is in Thailand, there are a lot of these that are both the factory and the brand. But it's not like they did, but it's not like they did it reverse, like where they were just a factory and then they copied their customer and cut them out. I haven't seen that, but more they intentionally do both. But of course, there's Amazon Global Selling here, which will also come to the event. And they're aggressively trying to get more factories to list onto Amazon directly, right?
Wow.
And they'll support them with that. So you can't hate the player, sometimes you hate the game.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. Fascinating, man. We can talk for hours, especially about business, about e-commerce. That's something I'm also passionate, even though I've stepped away from it. But let's start to wrap things up. To finish, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions about advices. Ready?
ready.
What would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you've received in your life?
I don't follow it so well, but not be as concerned about what other people think. And I still can't say I practice that as much as I want to, but it's not like being a bad person, but not being so. I'm actually trying to teach my son that. But anyways, I know it's rapid fire, so I'll stop.
No worries. What's the worst piece of advice you've received so far?
That's I guess anything around like kind of ones that say like stay in your safe zone, or don't go out of your. There's some of those people that care about you, right? Like maybe it's family, friends, coworkers. Don't quit your job, or don't take that risk. It's dangerous, and they do it because of love. But yeah, playing it safe, I think it's bad advice.
Sure.
Especially, I guess it's maybe the older you are, or maybe, of course, the younger you are, usually the less risk it is because you don't have others depend on you. But
Imagine that you had a time machine. You can go back in time and sit face to face with 18-year-old Mike. What's the number one piece of advice you'd give to him?
I think I've done it somewhat well, but be even more bold, even take more risks.
Yeah. So you all do podcaster. Imagine that today you're interviewing yourself. What's the first question that you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. First thing that comes to your mind.
Why do you get up every day?
And what's your answer?
I mean, to me, it's, I want to create opportunities for others. I work closely with the team. I think me.
Mm,
I love, for some reason I've stuck in the Philippines a lot of teams in the Philippines, but I like to empower or enable people that are wanting to work hard to create something better for themselves.
beautiful. If you had the entire world watching you and you had 30 seconds, what would be your message?
Man, is there some cheat sheet I could check in advance these questions? Man, this is hard.
First thing that comes to mind.
It's similar. I think, don't be ashamed, don't be afraid to do what you want to do. Don't let other people dictate your life. I don't want to say be selfish, but I think you got to find out who you truly are and become who you're meant to be.
Mm-hmm. The last question, that's my favorite question to ask all my guests, and that is what, and that question I will have to give credit to where credit is due. I got this from Rico. He asked me that, and I remember that. I said, when I was in Manila, we did the episode today by his pool, amazing place, but that's another story. So the question
Awesome.
is, what is the smallest thing you've done that has had the greatest, deepest, most profound positive impact in both your life and business? For me, for example, has been starting my podcast. What about you, Mike? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing you've done that has had the most profound impact in your life and business so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's generally around the content creation. Like every time I started, even my personal text blog in 2007, I started, it brought me opportunities. So then to form a podcast, even a vlog, the video blogs, like I was at a workshop the last couple of days and people were watching my videos and they know about me and they are giving me, feedback or questions. So yeah, I think, sharing my story.
Mm-hmm. That's it. We all have a story, we have a voice and gifts, and that's what we are here for. Share your story and your gifts so you can inspire others to make the world a better place. All right, Mike, awesome. And if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
I think mikesblog.com, I have a little contact page there and you can also check the personal updates. And then if you like the kind of business stuff, e-commerce stuff, globalfromasia.com. And then of course, crossbordersummit.com is the event, and probably won't be enough time. We're sold out on a VIP, but maybe next year we'll hopefully have it when this is shown online, and come to our event.
What's the date again for the event? November what again?
This one is 15, 16, 17. The core event is 16, 17, but we have a free expo, no cost for the attendees on the 15th.
Beautiful. We'll put that on the show notes. Listen, Mike, always a pleasure talking to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep shining your light. Keep inspiring
Thanks.
people to create a better life for themselves and help businesses find the best product they can. Keep doing what you're doing. Talk to you soon. Take care, brother. Cheers.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.